Yeah, hi friends. Good evening. Is my voice audible, clear and loud? Please confirm once.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, good evening, everyone. So, let's start the session, right? So, today in this webinar, we are going to learn about the request library in Python. So, it is one of the very simple, but one of the interesting libraries in Python. And you're going to learn how to send the request and get the responses with this request library using Python. With that, you can add contents like headers and how to use the parameters and all. You'll be learning in this webinar. These are the key takeaways for you. And today's agenda is set to introduction to request and what is request is about and how to install it. And with an example code to get a clear idea of how the request library is functioning and what are the usages and advantages. Right? These are the agenda which is set for today. So when coming to a request, it is actually a Python library. It is a licensed HTTP library. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol Library. This allows you to send a HTTP request using Python from a URL, right? And this HTTP request, it returns a response with all the response data, like what are the content which is available in the URL, what is the encoding, what is the status code, what is it, everything you'll be receiving as a response from the HTTP request. And this plays a major role in dealing with APIs, web scraping. APIs is nothing but application programmable interface. It is like a software, it's type of software. And web scraping. What is web scraping? It is nothing but to extract the informations from the websites. We are extracting the informations. We're scrapping the informations through a lot of portals, like Amazon, online portals are there, Flipkart, from reviews. All these informations we can extract with the help of request using web scraping. And syntax is request dot method name. Inside this, we are going to pass the parameters. So this is the syntax for request library. And what are the method names like get, post, put, delete, head, and patch? These are the different method names you are going to learn today. And also, the goal of this request is to make the HTTP request simpler and it is more user friendly, human friendly, right? And the current version of this library is 2.27.1, and it is a licensed Apache licensed 2.0. So these are some of the additional information which I'm giving you. And these are the methods which we are using: get method, post method, put method, delete, head, and patch. What does a get method do? Get request from the URL, right? Sends a post request to the specified URL. And put, we are putting a request to the URL. We are deleting a request using this delete method, right? Head, we are sending a head request. Patch it. We'll get to know what is get, post in detail in the upcoming slides, right? So get is nothing but it is used to retrieve the information from the server. We have a server, and from the server, if you want to retrieve some kind of information, we are going to use this get method using the given URL. So next is post. This post method actually it requests the web server which accepts the data. If you are sending some body of message, it's going to accept it. We are going to send some data to the server. In get method, we are receiving the informations. In post, we are sending some kind of data to the specified URL using the post method. And now comes the put method. Put method is nothing but we are sending some data to the URL. So for that, we need to create some resources there. So put method creates a resource or updates an existing resource if already that particular resource is there. It checks and it updates it. If it is not there, any existing resource is not there, it creates a new resource. This is the use of put method. And now head. Head actually, it asks for a response. It is similar to get a request, but without a response body. So we are going to use head when I don't want the content of the file, which is in the URL. I don't want the contents, but I only want the code. In such case, I can use head method. Patch method is nothing but for modifications, any resource modifications. No, we are going to use the patch. It only changes some resources, not the complete resource. Some changes inside the resource it will do, patch method. Delete is nothing but it deletes the specified resource which we are given. That is the use of this delete method. And what is request again? See, it is part of, I told you, integral part of Python. For making the HTTP request, we are sending the request to the URLs and we are getting the responses. This is what the request is actually doing. Right? Whether it can be APIs or it can be web scraping, request is used. Right? And also it is an inbuilt functionality. Python request provides inbuilt functionality for managing both the request and the response. And these are some of the features which we have mentioned, like request response, headers, error handling, cookies handling, SSL certificates. Is nothing but small, it is actually the small data files, which is a key to the organization. It's data. If often we can see if the website has some SSL certificates, then that particular URL is secured. This is the SSL certificates. Authentication is that we are permitting the user to access the information. That is the authentication. Yes, it's header. Which is error handling. That refers to response and recovery. If such errors are happening in that application. Cookies with small pieces of data, like username and a password. So SSL certificates, authentications. These are some of the features of request. And how to install that. Actually, request installation depends on different operating systems. But the common way to install in your system is just open the command prompt which you are having. After that, type this code, pip install request, and run the command. All the installations will be done in the command prompt itself. This is the installation part. And this is some of the code, basic code for a basic understanding. We are first installing the request using pip install function. And after that, we are importing the request there in the first line. Then we are requesting request.get. I'm just taking a URL and authentication is like username and password. I'm specifying there inside the parentheses. And I'm checking for the status code. Status code is nothing but the code which is available in this particular URL. I don't want the header, like content. So I just want the code. So I'm using r.status_code, which I get the result as 200. And then I'm checking for the headers, type of the content. Since this URL is based on JavaScript, hence it is giving the output as application.json, JavaScript. And I'm checking for encoding, r.encoding. Encoding is UTF-8. This is universally accepted characters to read the content, encodings, and text whether the authentication is true. And whether the content is present in the URL is JavaScript. The output I'm getting is authentication is true. So this is a simple basic code. And coming back to usages. So main usage of request is when I'm going to ping a message or to over a website or portal. That is called as a request. When you ping a request, the URL will respond. That is the main usage. This is exactly what request libraries do. To get a web page, you will do something like this. It is given here, no, request.get. You can try the different URLs. This is the GitHub URL which I have taken, which is in the form of JavaScript. You can try the different URLs and check. Right? And under parameters, you can add as r.url, r.status code. It will give the code which is present in the no, in this particular URL. This is some of the uses. Now, what is the advantage of using this request? It is easy to use. It is very simple library, and we can extract the data from the website very easy with this request and response function. So easy to use and extract the data. And it is also, yeah, scrape the data from the website is nothing but I'm mentioning as extracting the data from over the website. Like different websites we are having, like Amazon. If you want to extract the reviews from Amazon website, you can use this request library. Or from Flipkart website. Or like movies reviews. The particular website you can go and you can scrape the data with the help of request libraries. And using this get post to delete, you can do some requests, right? And handling of cookies is very, very easy. And security and authentication, it is very, very secure. Like I told you, SSL certificate is nothing but the web is actually more secure. So security is also taken care of the authentication model, right? So these are some of the advantages of using the request library. From request library, how we are going to extract the data. So this is about request. It's actually very simple, and we can just see this with a practical example as well. Now, this is a spider which I'm using, the IDE platform. You can try with different IDEs also. So first I have installed request over my system. If you want to do for the first time, open the command prompt and just type pip install request.
Ma'am, I request, can you just zoom out, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
That's it, just.
I'm using control plus scroll up.
No, it is not working yet. 1 second, just. It is not working. Control plus?
Scroll. Scroll up and scroll down is
Having such a.
Or maybe in the view menu, at the top,
Yeah.
there will be an option to zoom. At the top, yeah. That may not help, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, full screen mode only is there.
Can you try what like scroll control plus mouse scroll up?
No, mouse is actually I'm not using mouse. That is.
Okay.
So that's why I told you.
Okay, it's okay, ma'am. It's okay, ma'am. It's okay, ma'am. Carry on. No issues. Yeah.
Okay. Check this. We have a full screen mode option, but still. This is not that much clear.
It's okay, but it's very small. The fonts. Not in PPT, but in the code part, but it's fine. Let's
Okay, you
continue.
refer for the, no. You can refer the codings in the PPT itself.
Okay. Okay then, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're not installing, no, if your first time you're installing this, open your command prompt in your system. Just type this pip insta request. If you can run there, right? All the installations will, after finishing, you can just open the spider or whatever IDEs you are using. Just type this line number 10, import a request. I'm going to run this. Then I'm taking this URL, request.get. This URL and authentication I'm passing as username and password. Then I want to check the code, status code of this particular URL. So r.status underscore code. I'm getting 200 as my status code for this particular URL. It will change accordingly, right? Next, I'm checking the type of content. It is like application JavaScript. All the content which is inside this particular URL is in the application of JavaScript. That is what it's the output tells us. And next, I'm going to check for the encodings. It's giving me UTF-8. It is universally accepted encoding for reading the content to our mission. Mission can understand the all the characters or text. This is the universally accepted encodings. And I'm checking for text now. See, authenticated is true. It has a content, like JavaScript content. And again, I'm checking whether my URL is a JavaScript. Again, it's saying that authenticated is true. These are some of the functions, example functions we have given. We can check for encodings, headers, code, and whether the application type it is. So this is the basic example which I want to show you. So clear with the installation, how to install, and what are the methods we are using here? Get, post, put, delete, patch, It's actually very interesting language in Python. It has a lot of inbuilt functions in it in the request library. So this is of today. So thank you, friends.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Ma'am, can we get this video in YouTube?
Yeah, you'll get. Attain will be posting this recordings to you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, some of the webinar videos I couldn't see on the YouTube channel.
Okay. You
The
can
previous
contact the relevant. No. You can contact the relevant person or salesperson regarding this.
Okay. Can I contact AA persons or I mean?
Yeah, you can contact and just confirm.
LMs? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they are the right person to give you the correct details.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you.